Well, good morning. Thanks very much for joining us. By now, I'm sure you've at least heard about last Sunday's 60 Minutes report in conjunction with the Washington Post, exposing how the opioid drug distribution industry and its lobbyists successfully pushed a bill through Congress last year, curbing the power of the Drug Enforcement Administration to crack down on abuses of opioid distribution, a phenomenon that in turn is fueling the terrible opioid crisis across the country. Well, in the wake of that report, a key congressional backer of that bill, Representative Tom Marino of Pennsylvania, withdrew his name from consideration to be the national drug czar. Here to talk about all of this is our guest, Congressman Stephen Lynch of the 8th District of Massachusetts. Congressman, welcome.
Oh, good to be with you, John.
It's good to have you here as always. We appreciate your availability. So you have filed a bill to repeal this law that I just described.
Exactly. Yeah.
How's it going with that, and what was your reaction when you saw this story?
Well, I was stunned by this because it never came up for a roll call vote. So the Republican leadership, basically in the House and Senate, put this bill through by voice vote. And it was supposed to be non-controversial. So they did it probably when there were very few people on the floor, and really did it by sleight of hand. So
you didn't know about it, right?
No, we didn't know the details of this.
None of your colleagues knew about it.
No, this was treated like the naming of a post office or something like that. You know, it's something where, you know, you just figure if they get the address right and the name right, we're good.
If I will, I know you want to go back and talk about your repeal bill, but I'm just curious, how often does it happen that a process reserved for non-controversial measures is exploited on something that is controversial?
It's very rare. It's very rare because at some point when, if a bill's gone through committee, you know, people will know about the contents of that bill. So in this case, members were not aware. As a matter of fact, there are 4 or 5 members that I know of right now that have filed identical versions of my bill, and so I think, including Republicans. So I think it shocked a lot of people, and I think that helps us with the repeal effort.
Are you embarrassed by this?
Sure, I am. Yeah, I'm embarrassed that that the Republican leadership allowed something like this to happen.
Haven't Democrats ever pulled this kind of stunt?
Not in my recent memory. I mean, we've not been in control of the House and Senate for years now. But I'm sure it happened back in history. I don't know. But,
just to put a period on it, I'm sure, and I know because we heard from them all this past week, our viewers are, you know, wondering, this is something of such importance. Senator Markey, for instance, has made this a top priority of his. You know, how on earth can something like this get through without essentially anyone in a position to stop it knowing about it?
Well, the House and Senate leaders have a prerogative for looking at bills and saying what's controversial and what's not. And obviously they made a very poor decision. I think this was a calculated move. I think they realized that bill would never pass if they put it up for a vote or put it through committee. I think they knew that. That's why they did this, to you know, surreptitiously get this bill passed.
I mean, this, Congressman, this is a classic example, isn't it, of what Donald Trump calls the swamp, what Elizabeth Warren calls the power of the unelected to make Washington dance to its tune.
Yeah, and I also think it's a function of the influence of money in politics. There are more pharmaceutical lobbyists in Washington than there are members of Congress. I remember back in 2006, I had a bill, very basic, to ban OxyContin because I saw it in my district and the high addiction rate. And I never had a chance because of all the lobbyists working on behalf of the pharmaceutical companies. You know, they just saw it to their advantage to keep this drug on the market.
And with all the devastation that we've seen of the opioid epidemic, yeah, does this situation still exists in Washington, where the industry and its lobbyists have disproportionate power?
That's right. And that's because of their donations. That's because of the contributions they're making either directly or to these super PACs to influence politics.
Wow, that's depressing.
It is. It is.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll continue our conversation with 8th District Congressman Stephen Lynch in a moment, so please stay with us. Welcome back. We're talking with Congressman Lynch, and we've been talking about this 60 Minutes report about the roadblock in the war on opioids. And just before we move on to other topics, Congressman, you are one of a number of people who filed bills to repeal this controversial legislation. Is that going to pass?
I think so. It's too early to tell, obviously, and we'll have to fight those pharmaceutical lobbyists that had this passed in the first place. But I think it's a narrow enough an exception, and I think that the 60 Minutes story was so widespread that I think most members are aware of it now, and I think people understand the right thing to do is to repeal that bill, repeal the prior act.
Well, maybe this will be a case where public pressure combined with political pressure achieves results. Let's talk a little bit about a subject obviously of huge interest to our viewers here, which is health care and the costs of health care. Just as we're taping here on Friday, the State Health Care Connector has said that the Trump administration's intervention in the health care system, withdrawing federal subsidies, is going to make local costs for people who buy through the connector skyrocket. What's going on in terms of pushback on this?
Well, I think obviously we have a system that's not working. You have a lot of people on the far left that want to get rid of Obamacare now, and they're saying we want to go to a single payer type system. On the other hand, you know, I do want to point out that the stock market is reaching record levels based on the success and the profits of healthcare companies. So while the prices are becoming unaffordable for average families out there, healthcare companies are at the top and having record profits. I think it shows that the system is not working. We do have massive subsidies going to huge insurance companies, and you know.
Do you agree with the move the president made?
And which move was that?
To cut those subsidies.
No, I think it's a disaster.
Okay.
I think it's going to hit the people who most are unable to afford health care. So, and it will just shift. You know, I got a letter from Governor Baker about his concern that the removal of those subsidies is going to put a lot of pressure on the state to try to come up with the gap that will be created because the federal subsidies go away. So, you know, I hate to say it, but I think you got to go back to the drawing board and figure out, you know, what will actually work.
Well, you've been skeptical of the whole apparatus since day one.
I voted against Obamacare because I said it doesn't do anything to contain costs. And, you know, I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. There's nothing in that bill that lowers the cost of health care. The reason we call it the Affordable Care Act was it was supposed to be affordable. And now you have these health care plans leaving the exchange because, you know, because they can't provide the care at those levels, those cost levels, and you have people walking away from those plans because they can't afford the premiums.
Last few seconds here, I want to ask you, have you had any interactions with the White House since the last time we talked a few months ago? What's your level of confidence or lack of it in the functioning of this administration at this point?
My contacts with the White House are limited basically to Jon Keller, the chief of staff over there. He's a friend. You know, when he was a general over in Iraq, we spent a fair amount of time together. I visited him many times. John and I attended the Munich Security Conference about a year ago, spent a week together over there. He's one of the few people in Munich that I didn't have to use a translator with. He's solid. I'm happy he's over there. I think that he's providing some adult supervision at the White House. He's a solid individual, but no contact at all directly with the president.
Is he going to last, General Kelly, in that job?
For the good of the country, I hope he does, yeah.
Congressman, thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Appreciate you coming by. We'll talk to you again soon. Yeah. Congressman Stephen Lynch of the 8th Congressional District. That's all my time. Now it's back over to my colleagues for more WBZ News.